Hi, I'm Sean Reardon, Mayor of Newburyport, and welcome to the latest edition of the Mayor's Corner. We had a little bit of snow this morning. We had a 2-hour delay for our schools. Our city buildings opened up on time, so just a big thank you to the DPS for getting out there, clearing our streets, clearing our sidewalks, making sure everyone got to school today safe. And like I said, we got our city buildings open on time today. So hey, we've already got snow twice in January now, even though as we're getting into February, that's two more times than we got snow last year. So we're definitely in winter. With that said, too, it's cold and flu season. So I got very sick last week. I did my Mayor's Corner last Wednesday. Thursday, I went to the doctors, and then my son had the flu like the prior weekend, and then it turns out I got the flu, so I tested for the flu, and I was laid up in bed literally all weekend. So it's great to be back in the office, but I've got other people out now too, right? So it's a domino effect. So it's really going through City Hall here. We've had some people out. I will encourage you, if you do get sick, take care of yourself. Don't hurry back, because that makes it even worse. You'll be right back at home. I know everyone has that urge to get right back to work and get back to their busy lives, but you got to take care of yourselves. You got to get better. Like I said, luckily mine was over the weekend, and I was able to get to work this week, but it was brutal. It's literally the sickest I've ever been. It's a bad flu this year, and everyone should just be careful. So keep that in mind. If you haven't got your flu shot yet, get that flu shot too. What else is going on? I wanted to mention two people who we lost this week who impacted the community in different ways. One is Jay McCarthy, and a lot of you guys might not know Jay McCarthy. Maybe one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. Jay and his wife Nancy, I got to know a long, long time ago when I was working at the Park Lunch, when I worked at the Park Lunch way back when, in the 90s. And I got to know them there, and I think I got to know them a little bit at the Fitness Factory as well. But there's just a couple I've just known for years, right? They're involved in the community. Jay, since taking this office, I've noticed, he was a proud veteran of the Air Force, a member of the First Religious Society Church, always at the senior center. I'd pop in the senior center anytime. I would see him in there reading the paper or volunteering. But just a super guy. Again, a proud veteran who would march in our Memorial and Veterans Day parades every year. So I was just incredibly sad and shocked to learn of his passing last weekend. So again, heartfelt condolences to Nancy and the rest of their family. Jay was just truly a good soul inside and out, and he's going to be terribly missed because he was always willing to lend a helping hand wherever he was involved in. He was a very talented photographer too, was a member of the Newburyport Art Association down there, was helpful down there. So again, he had his hands in a lot of different places. So we're definitely going to miss him here in Newburyport. Another person I want to mention was a former teacher of mine that passed away, Mrs. Jane Politis. Jane Politis was a wonderful teacher up at the high school. Definitely my toughest teacher that I had. She was also the mom of a classmate of mine, Kathy, and also Yanni, who was a couple years ahead of me in school. But great Greek family. Her husband, Stephen, was a coach and teacher up at the high school as well. But she recently passed away, and just everyone has like that one teacher that really influenced them in their lives, and Jane Politis was definitely that for me. I remember writing a big paper about her once I got to Ohio State. I really struggled in her class. It was an honors history class at the time, or a leadership, or something like that. But I definitely felt like she had such an impact on me. Like I wouldn't be sitting here without her. And I think we all have probably that teacher maybe that we think of. She was definitely that for me. So I just wanted to mention her. She was just a really wonderful, wonderful woman. And she'll be obviously incredibly missed, but she impacted so many students over her very long career at Newburyport High School. So again, condolences out to the Politis family as well. Let's just talk a little bit about what's going on in the city. So we have had some progression on some of the things that we're working on. First, the Brown School. The Affordable Housing Trust voted last week to approve the $450,000 for the project. All right, this was funds that the Affordable Housing Trust had, from various sources, primarily Community Preservation Act funds that they've saved up over time and actually were earmarking towards some sort of project at the Brown School. So again, they voted unanimously, 5-0, to allocate those funds. So that was a big first step, because that was one of the conditions attached to the disposition of the building, right? And so that's the thing that the council will take up next. I believe they're going to do that in a planning and development meeting on February 4th. So don't quote me on that, but I think it's February 4th. And that's the next big piece that has to happen for the developer that we're working with, Zeta Insight, so they can go off and continue to advocate and secure funding for the project. So that disposition piece has to happen next. And again, that zoning piece is out there. That will happen over the coming weeks as well, but that takes a little bit longer. But the disposition piece is something that we can definitely get working on. So that was certainly great news. We also had a meeting that Senator Tarr and Representative Shan helped set up with the Undersecretary at the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, Undersecretary Racer. So we just had that meeting yesterday, and we had a really great discussion. As you know, last year, the Affordable Homes Act was passed by the legislature, and that was an incredible, important piece of legislation. And in that was a possible earmark for Newburyport for $500,000 towards this Brown School project. We had Secretary Augustus come out and tour the facility. He's aware of the project. It's on his radar. So we wanted to figure out what's the process of getting those funds, because it might just help in the overall goals with the project. Again, we're proceeding without those funds, but it would be nice if we could get those funds as well. It would just help. So we had a really great conversation with the Undersecretary. We actually did set up some next steps. So again, I just wanted to thank Senator Tarr and Shan for helping to set that up. And I look forward for that next step. And we're going to bring actually Zeta Insight in with the Undersecretary, not next week, but the week after, for a conversation about the project. So again, all good developments around the Brown School. So we're still feeling really good about that. Earlier this week, we also had the first kind of working group meeting around the Whittier and Northern Essex Community College project, the Shared Campus Model project. And just, there'll probably be an article in the paper about this, but I wanted to give everyone just kind of a quick update of where Whittier is right now and where we're landing, right? It was over a year ago that we took the vote against the $500 million school project that was being proposed, right? And that was a gigantic effort by so many people to get the word out on that. That was a project that we weren't very involved in, and then it was kind of getting shoved down our throats, right? And so that was a tough place to be, because you didn't know how that vote was going to happen. But we were able to get the message out in a short period of time, and it was soundly defeated. So I would say since then, we've kind of started from square one with Whittier, which has been great. They've actually been a wonderful partner, much more transparent, easier to work with. Again, I think it was maybe one of the best things that could have happened to the relationship, right? It actually shined a big light on what that relationship was and what's going on in our vocational schools. So what happened since then? We came up with a task force, and that task force was looking at the regional agreement, because we think anything that happens with Whittier going forward, that regional agreement should be modified. Now, we got a lot of resistance from Haverhill, right? And you need all 11 communities to agree on this, right? So Haverhill has really pushed back on the thought of changing that regional agreement. So what was the other track that was happening? The other track was this idea of a shared campus model. And the state has been very involved in this, and they really, they're really in favor of it. So there was another group that was put together, and I wasn't a part of this group, but it was another group that was really just looking at the feasibility of this type of project. And they partnered with the UMass Donahue Institute. So they're about to release a report, and that's kind of what my meeting was about the other day. So now there's a third group, right? And this was that first meeting the other day. They're going to take that report that they got from there, and then it's going to be the 11 cities and towns, and there can be up from 2 representatives. It's going to be either the town manager or the mayor of those towns, and then they can have another representative be part of this working group that will actually dive into this, dive into this report and see what we're looking for and what this model could possibly look like. It was an incredibly an informational meeting that we had the other day. So it was a lot of good information. There's still a million questions out there, but I really thought it was a good first step. Another big thing that happened is that they went back to the MSBA, which is the Massachusetts School Building Authority, in December to ask basically to get let back in, right? And it's not an easy thing. Sometimes you have to go all the way back to the end of the line. But because Whittier had already been approved for something through them, we were hoping we could get back in line and start this process around this new model. And they actually have voted to accept Whittier and Northern Essex into the pipeline again, with the caveat that the 11 cities and towns come up with a new regional agreement. So that's probably the best news that came out of this. It's going to force everyone to come together, because if this model is going to be where we're headed, then we have to have an agreement around a new regional agreement. And that makes complete sense because this is actually a new model, right? This model that we're going to be looking at and proposing is not being done anywhere in New England right now, all right? It's happening in other parts of the country, or pieces of it are, but it's really going to be something new and innovative. So it's going to be exciting to be a part of that. So I'll keep giving more updates, but we just had our first meeting the other day, and we're definitely heading in the right direction. Just a couple more things real quick. Boards and commissions, I'm always looking for people for boards and commissions, so if you're interested, please reach out to my office. I interviewed 5 people for the Human Rights Commission yesterday. Again, it was so great to see people come out for that. Conservation Commission is one we're really looking for people right now, so if you're interested, if you have a background in environmental science, law, planning, you're an engineer, anything around that, and you want to give back to the city, we could really use you on the Conservation Commission. So please reach out to my office and we'll get you in here for an interview. Happy birthday to the Senior Center. They celebrated 9 years today, which was great. I didn't get to go up there, but they were having root beer floats. Sounded like it was a fun time, but it's amazing. That was a quick 9 years. And lastly, I'll just mention again, we got the State of the City and the Public and Community Service Awards coming up on February 26th. Remember, there's a public service award, so someone who is elected or works for the city, and you think they're doing a great job, you can nominate them. We have individual community service awards, and we gave out 5 of them last year. So again, it's so awesome to recognize this great work happening around the city. We have a business award. If you think a business is out there doing a lot of good, we would love to recognize them. And then we have a youth award. And again, there's so many great kids in Newburyport that are doing great work for their community. And then finally, we're adding that Reverend Helen Mergida Award, and that's the new award this year. So hey, get those nominations in. It's going to be a great time. We've got a little less than a month now until the State of the City, which is exciting. Stay healthy, stay warm, and I will see you all next time on the Mayor's Corner.